ArsenalFanTV. Graham, good win today. Confidence, there was hairy moments in the game, but a bit of confidence starting to return to the team.
In the end, Robbie, a very comprehensive victory. 3-0. Anyone looking at that result, 3-0, you think that is a comprehensive victory, and it is. But at the end of the day, Watford gave us a hard game. They're a very physical team. They got two midfielders, Kapui and Decor, who were very physical. Now, Nenny and Xhaka, I thought, stood up the test against them very well today. It was a game very much, today very much a day of records, milestones and first. The 1,000th goal of the Emirates, a replication of the goal that we scored against Tottenham here back in November, with Ozil floating the ball in and Mustafi, a very similar position, a very similar header. That was Ozil's 50th Premier League assist, and he set the record today of achieving the 50 target in fewest Premier League appearances, beating Eric Cantona, who was a great player, Eric Cantona. So credit for Mesut Ozil. And then, of course, what pleased my son today was he was screaming at me, Peter Cech's got to get his 200th clean sheet, and he was delighted when he did so today, and to save a penalty from Troy Deeney. And the thing about Troy Deeney is, it's funny how you make comments in football and they come back to bite you in the arse, isn't it? And if anyone didn't have the balls today, it was Troy Deeney. And I think he put himself under a lot of pressure, that penalty. And I thought he was going to score. What you said to a previous interviewee here is exactly what I said. He always scores, Cech always doesn't save it. But, today that was different. I think the story of the game was, we started really well. We were fizzing the ball around really well. And what you try and do in a game, you try and impose yourself on a side. And Watford, we know, are a very physical team. They made it clear to us that they're a very physical team, and they did have one or two very nasty challenges in that game. One on Mkhitaryan, took him out in the box. I thought was a penalty, as much a penalty as the one that they got. And there was a few very nasty late challenges going. The referee, Martin Atkinson, let a lot go today, trying to get the game flowing a bit. I think when you looked at the game, we started off fizzing it around well. A lot of forward passing. You can always tell when Arsenal are playing well, when that crispness of passing, we're moving it quickly around. And to that first 25 minutes, Aubameyang got in behind, maybe should have scored. Good save by the keeper. And then towards the end of the first half, Watford grew into the game, and Cech, who had an outstanding game with some saves, did make one error, and it came out to Pereira where he really should have put it in the net. It should have been 1-1. Then at the second half, Watford changed tactics. They started pressing us more from the front, making Cech kick longer, and we, for about 15 minutes period in that second half, was struggling to get the ball out and to get it control of the game. And the second goal arrived at a really good time in the game for us, and we saw what Mkhitaryan and Aubameyang bring to our team. Now, I had a talk this week on Twitter with Andrew Thompson, who's very good on Arsenal podcasts. He's been on Tom Canton's Laguna Talk with Lee Judges and Kenny Ken. He's a really quality guy. And he made a point to me, which, and I thought about it, and I think he's right. For Arsenal, I think the key moving forward is we need to replicate at Arsenal what Dortmund do, right? Now, we've got Aubameyang's pace, and you saw today when we need to get him in behind or one-on-one. He kills teams when he's on one-on-one or in behind. Now, we've got Mkhitaryan. Now, what we are crying out for, and we're not going to get it this season, but in the summer we're crying out for a pacey winger. A pacey winger, somebody... If you look at all Arsenal's great... I go back even further than you, Robbie. I can remember George Armstrong in the 71 team. I can remember in George Graham's teams, Limpar. I can remember Marwood in George Graham's team, David Rocky Rocastle, Mark Overmars. Whenever we've won the league, we've had pace out wide. And you talked about why we struggle sometimes away from home. We don't have any width in the side. And I know the wing backs are there, but they don't always use them. They often, you see Bellerin.
When they do, they always come back inside.
They always come back inside. So I think if we had a winger and we had that pacey, because Aubameyang, if you look at the games he's played this season for Arsenal, he's played in the big games. He's played against Man City twice. He's played against Tottenham, and in those games, they've got they're sort of a strong side. So he's often up against one defender, and then there's someone sweeping behind him. So he needs support up there. Now, our identity before Aubameyang was Alexis Sanchez. Alexis Sanchez was the identity of the club. Everything went through Alexis Sanchez, and now we've moved on from Alexis. But the Aubameyang for me is our identity moving forward. So we need to give him the tools to make him effective. You see what he offers to the team, that pace in behind. He can kill a defender one-on-one. And I think if we reproduce that, if we give him those tools next year and he reproduces that, that's going to be our chance of moving forward successfully. You said to me a few weeks ago, you like the idea of Lacazette and Aubameyang getting up front, don't you? So how can you get them together? Because well,
how can we?
How can you? Yeah, because basically 4-4-2 is...
I'd love to see them together.
4-4-2. So one thing, I don't think 4-4-2 works for me. I'm not saying it can't, but I just think we've got Mkhitaryan and Ozil now. So what are you going to do with them in that formation? But what we could do is we could just try out this Aubameyang-Lacazette partnership. And how we could do it, use the Premier League games for the rest of the season. So if we went 3-4-1-2, so for example you had 3 at the back, and then you had your wing backs. What you need is to make them effective is you need Ozil in behind. So Ozil, instead of where he drifts out in the team at the moment, if he was to come more centrally, and then we could test whether they could work together. Now I don't think Wenger sees that as a long-term partnership, but we haven't looked at it yet, have we? And the Premier League campaign for us is pretty much dead. We're going to get 6th place. It's all about the Europa League. So I don't see any reason why, when Laka gets fit again, and he is going to come back into the Europa League team, as the DT said earlier, I don't see why we can't just test out that partnership and use the Premier League to see whether that is a way forward. But if it doesn't work, I think long term, what I want to do next season is set the team up around our what I call our 2 main players, and that's Ozil and Aubameyang. To get the best out of Ozil, you need a ball-winning DM and 2 solid physical centre midfielders.
That for about 10 years.
Yeah, we do need that. That gives Ozil the platform to be what he's got to be, because he's not brilliant at tracking back and working defensively. But if you had those 2 physical midfielders, one a ball-winning DM, that would help him. And if you had pace up front to assist Aubameyang, with say, they had Dortmund, they had Royce in his first period there, then Dembele, didn't they, in the second period. And Mkhitaryan was central to that as well. And you can see what a good partnership they've got already, a goal each and assist each today. So I think that going forward, that's it. But obviously our eggs are all in the Europa League basket for next season. The thing is on Wenger, I was very impressed with Allegri in the week. He was everything I want our manager to be. I tweeted it out, right? And the way he turned that game, the way he went, he took off, he put wing backs on, moved them high, moved Sandro back into a left-sided midfield role, and put Dybala and Higuain closer together in a 4-4-2 that Tottenham. Pochettino took too long to work out what he was doing, and then the game was gone. I'd love to have a manager like that. I'm crying out for a manager like that at Arsenal. Do you know what I mean? But next season, it's all about, for me, trying to get the best out of Ozil and Aubameyang. There are 2 key players moving forward, and if we could get that system where we've got more solidity with 2 central midfield. I like my centre midfielders to be physical midfielders, to be honest. A ball-winning DM, don't ask me who it could be, but we could get one, and then give Aubameyang the tools up front. Sanchez, for example. Can you imagine if we kept Sanchez? We shouldn't keep selling players and then replacing players. Aubameyang came in to replace Sanchez, didn't he? And do you imagine if we just had Sanchez? We had Sanchez, because Sanchez is somebody with a bit of pace who could work with Aubameyang. But I think we haven't got Sanchez now, but if we could get a pacey wide player to complement Mkhitaryan and Aubameyang, that'd be a brilliant front 3. Ozil in behind and 2 DMs and a 4-2-3-1. That would be my favourite shape.
Wake up and stop dreaming. Right? Yeah. We're giving you a chance to be on ArsenalFanTV and give your opinion after the game. All you got to do is WhatsApp your video and hold the camera like this. Send it straight after.